I got a couple of things for y'all this morning. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. What we got first. This is about the Justin Fairfax murders, murder suicide. Shout out to Dr. Patrice Berry.
Your favorite watch creators trust us at Exquisite Timepieces.
Exquisite is a family-owned AD. They're an awesome AD.
I'm Dr. Berry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Today, I wanted to talk about a case that has weighed very heavy on my heart and in my mind. And there were multiple other cases in the past few weeks. There was a pastor that was unalived by her husband. The influencer. So I'm watching the influencer that passed in Africa, and the family does not believe that she died at her own hands. And
She
so I'm
didn't.
keeping an eye on that one. There was another situation, like there have just been so many cases. This case here, it is the case of Serena Fairfax. And she was a mom. She was a dentist. So it's actually Dr. Serena. And I woke up on April 16th, which is already kind of a heavy day for me anyway, as a graduate of Virginia Tech. That is a day that we remember the mass incident that happened down on our campus back in 2007. And I saw the notifications that there was an incident at Justin Fairfax's home. And they initially did not report who the bodies were, but by within like an hour, there was reporting that Serena was unalived by her estranged husband. Their children were home. So there are two teenagers that, due to the actions of their father, they are without their mother and their father, and they were home. The oldest son is the one that called 911. He initially believed that his mom had been, he thought something had happened with a knife. He did not know exactly what happened. And I remember when there were allegations against Justin Fairfax, the former lieutenant governor from back in 2019. So I have the details in the description, but back in 2019, while he was the active lieutenant governor under Ralph Northam, I'm bad with names, but I remember his first name was Ralph. Under that governor, there were two women that alleged a history of SA involving him. And he strongly denied all of those things, but that pretty much his political career was over at that point. And it's my understanding that in 2024, Serena and Justin, I believe Serena was the one that kind of wanted to start the process of a post-nuptial agreement. So there is something called a prenuptial agreement. So that's what you do before you're even married. But they did a post-nuptial agreement. And it's my understanding that there were recent court battles over things in that post-nup. So they were separated, but physically living in the same home. Virginia is you have to live separate, or like you have to have separate lives for a year. If you have children, there are laws, unless there are incidents of DV, but Virginia, there's normally this cooling off. There's normally a year that you have to be separated. And during that period of separation, you can't do their laundry. You can't be physically intimate. Like there are restrictions for what can and can't happen during that period of separation. And they were under the same roof. I suspect that he might have been in the, I don't know, like, I don't know exactly where he was. Um, but it sounds like there were major financial issues. There are court documents where we are seeing that around 2022, that there were allegations of him starting to use alcohol excessively, and that Serena had concerns, and that he had, Justin Fairfax, that he had used money that was supposed to go towards the children's horseback riding. He was supposed to use that for that was supposed to go towards horseback riding, but he used those funds to purchase a pew pew. And he actually went missing for a period of time. It wasn't like a date, but like there were a few hours where they couldn't find him, and he was found with that pew pew in like a park or something. That's based on the news reporting that I've seen about that incident. So if he did have an active therapist, that therapist, their records would probably be subpoenaed as a part of the death investigation. So the state of Virginia is still investigating, even though it was a redrum and then he took himself out, even though that was what happened, they are still investigating this case. There were also allegations that he made a false allegation that Serena had assaulted him. But she had cameras. So she had cameras installed inside the house. And when the police reviewed the footage, it was clear that there was no incident that happened, but this was in January. And he was supposed to leave the home by April 30th. So he was supposed to leave the home by April 30th. I forgot that here in Virginia, we have red flag laws. And what a red flag law is that a judge, the state, that if somebody legally owns a weapon, but maybe we think there's mental health things, there's something going on, there's a significant reason why that person shouldn't have access to a weapon, there are red flag laws in Virginia. He was about to lose physical custody of the children, but he was still allowed to have visitation. He just had to blow, so an hour before the visit, he had to breathe into a breathalyzer, because once again, there were allegations that he was isolating himself and that he was using alcohol excessively. My heart breaks for this entire community. Dr. Serena practice up in the Northern Virginia area. People have been dropping off flowers. There are people that I've seen in the comments, people saying she was my dentist. Like, this has impacted our area in a major way. I would not talk about the case if I knew anyone personally. So I do not know so I have not personally interacted with any of these individuals. But it was really hard because there are people trying to reconcile the Justin that they knew with what he did. And I'm going to be honest,
They said, how long have you been playing? I said, about 8 years. I auditioned for No Doubt.
How'd that come about?
So I was kind of a part of the scene, if you will, and I got a phone call that they were holding auditions. I had the demo tape that I bought at one of the gigs, and I learned that demo tape like my life depended on it, and I wanted it so bad. However, I had not been playing very long. I had only been playing about a year and a half, and so
That's incredible.
And at that time, the band was still really young, late teens mostly, but they were all pretty good at their instruments already. And I was a newbie, and I just lied. They said, how long have you been playing? I said, about 8 years. but I knew the demo tape really well, really well. And
8 years if you count banging on your legs.
yeah, 8 years of desire.
Yeah.
And that was it. I got in the band, and to be fully transparent, it became obvious to them that my skill set was not very advanced, which it wasn't. And I had a lot of woodshedding that needed to happen. And I knew that. And I just, once again, I went to work, for a good 2 to 3 years. I was inspired to get as good as I could, as fast as I could, with not really much in the way of formal lessons. I couldn't really afford to take a lot of lessons anyway. And I just put my head down and went for it.
It pissed me off and made me really mad to see people posting pictures with the two of them together looking happy. So any picture I posted, it's her by herself and him by himself because she wanted to leave him. That marriage was over and she had every right to leave. And that should have happened. She should have been able to safely end that relationship. Unfortunately, I think he likely felt his life was falling apart and he never recovered from when his political, I think he lost his job at a law firm. It's my understanding that he could not find employment after those allegations. And so I watched, I don't know. So Roland Martin did a podcast and I thought there were parts of it that were helpful. There were parts of it that weren't particularly helpful for me personally. I did watch it, and he knew Justin personally, and he talked about how Justin was focused on how it didn't feel fair, how this wasn't fair, and there is a vengefulness, and when you feel like things aren't fair, and when you feel like things are out of your control. He needed help and she deserved safety. So the fact that they had to live in that home together. So it's my understanding it was 12 a.m. So Sunday night going into Monday morning, that's when this incident occurred. And the children were the ones that had to realize what happened, call the police. And initially, the police were not sure. They didn't know where he was because they were initially searching outside the home. They didn't know that he had went upstairs to the primary bedroom, and that's where he made the decision to end his own life. My personal thoughts about that is that I don't know that he wanted the consequences. I don't know that he would have did what he did to just himself, and it breaks my heart that he took his children's mother. And heart goes out to kids, my heart goes out to the family, and I just wanted to share resources and tools because children that have experienced tragedies like this, as a therapist, sometimes they will struggle with thoughts of self-harm. Like they will often struggle themselves, understandably, because this was a horrific loss. And it goes deeper than just mental health. So I see this as a domestic violence incident. People want to call this like a messy divorce, or this was unsafe. The alcohol and the access to a weapon, I think, created this, and then this increasing hopelessness, all of those things, I think, created this deadly storm that it's my goal to find ways that we can prevent this sooner on. And that's where it's like, who would let their kids? So Justin didn't call the police himself, because some people do that. So some people, and once again, we don't do crimes here. We don't want people to learn how to crime better. We don't want any of those things. But like, this was an incredibly selfish, self-centered, and that's why I really, really just wanted to center Serena, her life, the fact that if somebody decides to leave, they should be able to. Mm-hmm. And in Virginia. So I wanted to share some statistics for Virginia, and I do have a link to
Good
this
morning, y'all.
down
Good
in
morning.
the description. And so these are DV incidents for Virginia, and then also nationally. And so that's where more than 30% of homicides in Virginia are domestic violence related. 56% of those involve firearms. 80% of them happen within the home. 40% happen during or after a relationship breakup. More than 20% involve taking somebody, yes. So I can't say this word on the YouTube. And then while women make up 51% of Virginia's population, they account for 63% of people unalived by firearms in intimate partner related incidents. All right. And so there are signs. So common signs, intense jealousy, insults, yelling, embarrassing or shaming a person, belittling someone, trying to control where the person goes, destroying property, pressuring to be intimate, threatening to destroy the person's life or sabotage their job, and a violent temper. All right. And then there are common behaviors that people engage in when they are the victims of this. And then there are resources. And so here in Virginia, I know in my Fredericksburg area, we have shelters, we have supports, we have resources. Am I still frozen? Hopefully I'm not still frozen.
You don't need superpowers to keep your family safe from scams. All you need is Malwarebytes, built by experts and designed to help me and my not-so-careful family. Malwarebytes is...
Hopefully I'm not still frozen. Hopefully I am not still frozen. Okay, good. And so I connected back. So I was just connected to the Wi-Fi only, but so I've hopefully connected things and things aren't frozen. And it's warm here in Virginia right now. So I don't think this has anything to do with the weather. And Virginia is a great place to live. These type of statistics, unfortunately, they're probably similar state to state. I don't know that there's anything specific about Virginia with these statistics, but there are nationwide hotlines. There are anti-violence project. I know that if someone connects with the DV shelters or hotlines or supports, sometimes they will send advocates with the person to court. And so this whole thing just absolutely breaks my heart. And once again, people should be able to leave. That once the relationship is over, people should be able to leave. And if a person feels like their life is falling apart, like they can't find employment, everything is just crumbling in on them, getting support from family, the more the person isolates, the more they can kind of start ruminating and thinking and obsessing over those dark thoughts, over that dark side. And so this is just, she deserved better. Her family deserves better. And there are family law experts that are hoping that there are changes after this incident. And it stinks that something like this has to happen for for laws to change, for things to change. Um, but a lot of people that took a look at the case file and what was happening in this case, they say that there were clear warning signs. And so Megan McCrae, domestic relations attorney, said when you have a parent who has alcohol issues, mental health issues, access to firearms, it's a good indicator that there is potential for something volatile like this to happen. And I completely agree. And that's from a WUSA 9 article. And it's just I don't have words, but I needed to sit with you all in all of this, because it's been difficult. And a lot of my timeline is a lot of so I have some Facebook friends that I think did know him personally. And a lot of them, because I looked at their pages to see if they posted anything, and I know one person in particular that I know knew him, and that individual hasn't posted anything about the situation. But people posting pictures of them with him happy. He made this decision, and so that's where I think she needs to be the center. Her kids, her family, that needs to be the focus. And I know that people are confused because they're like, this isn't the, people want to say this isn't the Justin that I knew. But that's where I wonder, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Because there were a lot of people, because even on that Roland Martin show, he wasn't aware that they were separating, that they were in the middle of a contentious divorce. There were parts of this story that I think people did not know. And only the people closest to Serena likely knew. And I think he was isolating himself. I don't think he was talking about what was going on with him. And I've worked with survivors in the midst of their court processes. I've worked with individuals, and the other hard part about this is she had a good lawyer. She had all these supports. And so some people can lose hope. So if I'm working with somebody that isn't as financially stable as she was, to be able to afford, as a divorce attorney, especially if it's contentious, divorce attorneys are between $50,000 to $100,000 sometimes. If you have a messy case, it can be extremely expensive to attend a 2-day custody hearing, to go through all of that. That can just be a lot. And so that's where some people struggle to leave. So when people find out that somebody is being harmed and they're like, why didn't they leave sooner? Leaving is hard. And so my suspicion, so we don't know for sure, my suspicion is that there was likely an argument. Something happened at 12 a.m. My suspicion is that he might have been under the influence of alcohol.
Maybe.
So we don't have the results of his autopsy. I don't know if that will ever be made public, but that will be a part of the investigation. I would suspect that he was likely under the influence of alcohol. That would be my suspicion. And they were separate, but in the same home. So he was supposed to leave the home at the end of the month. It's also my understanding that he was in deep credit card debt, that he wasn't financially, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do financially to, contribute towards the household. Because if you stay under one roof, they normally say that there has to be child support and there has to be contributions toward things. And so it's my understanding that a lot of that was not happening, and it was a lot. The DC area, especially, so Fairfax, I think they were in Annandale. I'm bad with names, but they were in Fairfax County. I used to live in in Fairfax County. Loved it. Great area to live. Extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. But it's difficult. It's difficult. And I think this was a DV incident. Roland Martin tried to talk about it from the perspective of, because he had 2 Black male therapists on to talk about the importance of men getting into therapy. Yes, so Annandale, I thought it was. Yeah. I thought that's where it was. And I even forgot that was part of Fairfax County. So we lived in Springfield, but like that's close to Alexandria. We were up in that area. Absolutely loved it. Beautiful area, but very expensive. Very, very expensive. So you mentioned that the area was expensive 45 years ago. Wow. And so thank you to Alina for becoming a member. Thank you to Jenny G241 for being 214 for being a member for 2 months. Thanks for all your great insights, Dr. Berry. I appreciate you all. Thank you for letting me talk this out and share this here, because all these thoughts were just roaming around in my head. My mom is in the chat and she'll tell you, like, her and I have been talking about things. So I was just saying, I watched the show and there were parts that I thought were beneficial, some parts that I personally didn't resonate with. One of the experts, one of the therapists that was on, I liked the things that person had to say. That person had to say. I think because Roland Martin knew Justin personally, just as an outside person watching it, I think he likely believed that Justin didn't do the allegations. So the women that came forward and alleged SA, because it's almost like people are almost blaming those 2 women, that those 2 women, derailed his career. When I was talking to my mom, and I'm glad that we teach consent and boundaries in a healthier way now. So when I grew up, I wasn't raised that consent is an enthusiastic yes. Like, now, I think in the back of my mind, I understood that you shouldn't be intimate with somebody that was passed out, but that wasn't, I don't remember us having conversations and dialogue around consent. And so in his mind, I don't know, he likely thought, but that's where I think things were kind of, I don't know. So he was never found guilty of anything. The 2 women made allegations, and one of them came forward after this incident and talked about, like she threw in there that he has a history of problematic behavior toward women. That's what she said in that moment. And so I know. And so I was just talking about, like, now we tell people that if a person is passed out, if the person is extremely intoxicated, that consent should be enthusiastic. So that consent should be enthusiastic. Yeah. And so a lot of people say that his career might have been over way before it. Yeah. And so Roland Martin had a YouTube podcast. If you want to check it out, feel free. I had to skip through because there was a lot of filler at the beginning. I think I skipped forward quite a bit when they actually started the panel with the 2 therapists. And there were aspects of that I thought were helpful, aspects that were not as helpful. Thank you for mentioning that he was served with a show cause on April 21st. And, or maybe... Oh, so he was supposed to attend a show cause hearing on April 21st. And that was probably about the finances, because I think he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do financially. I don't know that for sure. I am guessing with what that was. All right. And so that consent should be an enthusiastic yes. So not like so if somebody is going to be intimate with somebody, that it shouldn't be like, I guess. Like it should be an enthusiastic yes. If anything new comes out, Mama and I might collaborate on this. There's a great video. It's called Consent Tea. Let me find that. I can find it real quick. YouTube Consent Tea. It's, would you give tea to somebody that's sleeping? No. And it's a way to talk about consent. I use this when I work with kiddos and we're talking about boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just about boundaries, consent, and boundaries. And so consent
Okay.
is as simple as tea. And so it says yes. If somebody wanted tea yesterday and they don't want tea today, would you make them drink tea? No. And so it's a cute little video. Next, we are going to talk about the Tracy Grist case. Feel free to come with me over to that video. If you are good for today and do not want to continue, you can. Mama's comment is when identity is connected to what you do, produce, etc., and not like maybe who you are, there can be a huge fracture. No excuses for what happened. Yes, just know that it matters. I also think some people have their identity in like being married, like being a husband. I think that Serena wanted a divorce more than he did, and so because there's some people that view divorce as a failure, that they failed, that they're a failure, when sometimes relationships don't work out. And you pick it up, you move on. But this was toxic. The children should not have been exposed to this. They were likely exposed to his substance, because if he was struggling with alcoholism, the kids likely saw it, especially as teenagers. And so, yes, that the identity can sometimes get stuck at being a provider, husband, and when those things fall apart. And so you have to figure out something else. Dr. Barry, I'd love for you to cover the new CNN documentary on husbands, boyfriends. Ooh, so no thanks. Lisa, so you always want the deep stuff? We'll see. So I just have to figure out a way that what we can learn from it, because that's where that just shouldn't happen. And so some things I don't like touching because it just shouldn't happen. So we are going to head over to the Tracy Grist case. If this is your final video for today, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I am watching a lovely new K-drama on Disney Plus. It's called Perfect Crown. I am loving it. I finished the finale of The Pit last night. The Pit, there were a lot this season of The Pit. There were a lot of triggering episodes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Patrice Berry. I got another clip for y'all from Chantel Simone. Let's get it.
Your partner should be making your nervous system feel calm. Yeah. Right? And I actually love that because, yes, I have anxiety. Responding in a way that makes her feel safe,
Okay, so
secure.
we're doing the feelings versus logic, right?
Yeah.
I can meet you where you feel, right?
You can be as logical as you want, but her feelings are still at the forefront.
Really? No.
You can't make this shit up, people.
Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Remember, entertainment purposes only. We are here to point and laugh. Do not take these broads too seriously. It's annoying.
You always have your feelings, right? So am I
And you're
up
always
against
gonna
your
feel.
feelings or am I up against facts? What is
Reality.
really going on? What is the truth?
Can we break down both?
And just to
I think-
pinpoint off of what you said, Amanda, like that's true. Like your nervous system should feel comfortable, but that's like with everyday life struggles.
But I do think that there needs to be a balance, right? In order for a man not to become a slave to a woman's nervous system. And I think that there are times that he calms her nervous system, and there are times that he puts his foot down and go somewhere else with your BS. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not doing it today. Because at the end of the
Bye.
day, he has to hold you accountable. If you never realize that there's an issue, you're never going to grow. So sometimes he has to hold your nose to the fire and say, look, go in the corner or go in the other room and you deal with them voices in your head.
Right.
Sometimes women have to realize there's imagination and there's reality.
Yep.
And also paying attention to reality. So, for example, I'm not going to think that every time your phone rings, I have to be on edge. If my reality is that I know what you're doing, I know where you're at, I know if you answer the phone, you know, like you don't move different around me. So why am I creating scenarios in my head? I think sometimes people have to pay attention to reality. If this person is true to themselves on a regular, then I feel as though creating scenarios and making things up in your mind is only going to drive you crazy. If this person is who they are every day, then I feel as though you should just accept this person and allow them to be them. If they decide not to answer the phone, don't just be like, oh, something's got to be on. Why you ain't answer that phone call? Who that?
Right.
Somebody calling you? Da, 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 da. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it was scam likely. Sometimes we gotta chill as women, because I know I've done it. You know what I'm saying? I know I've done it.
And also, do you ever wonder what that does to your partner?
Annoying.
Exhausting.
It's not only
Annoying, exactly.
exhausting, but like
Always
you have to imagine that if your partner is communicating clearly with you,
Yeah.
your partner's being transparent with you, your partner now has to shrink themselves around you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They can no longer be themselves.
Walk on
And that'd be a
eggshells.
version that only you'll accept, right? So you're not even allowing your partner to be themselves, and you want him to communicate. Excuse me, I ain't gonna say him. Don't trigger me on this shit. I ain't gonna say him, but
Yeah.
you want all these things.
In a relationship.
That's a really good conversation to have, because a lot of times you see these women, as she said, a man needs to put his woman emotion above the logical point. Is that, excuse me? And for me personally, that was one huge deal breaker when I was dating. Any man who's gonna put my emotions over logic is a huge red flag. It was a no for me. And you see a lot of men, because they were raised in this feminist society, they were raised in all queens and goddess and mother nature, and a black woman can never do anything wrong, and a black woman is always right, and you're supposed to serve your woman, you're supposed to put her on this pedestal. They think that your emotions and your feelings, your emotions that changes every 5 seconds, it should be top priority. He should bend over backwards. Happy wife, happy life, to feed into your emotions. And unfortunately, it's so common. With the simps are around in a large number, putting women's emotions and feelings above. So that's why I have to respect men who are like, you can go somewhere with your emotions. You can go somewhere with your feelings. If you get mad if you must, but hey.
We will know topic.
What do girls do that niggas don't like?
Women are extremely unaccountable, hyper emotional, and that's okay to be emotional. As a man, one of your contractual deeds to be with a woman is being able to regulate her emotions and getting her out of slumps. But the fact that has to be part of our contract is if I ever demanded you to be the one to regulate my emotions if we were dating, what's the first word you would attribute that to?
A bitch.
And what does the word bitch mean?
Female. We don't like hold ourselves accountable. We don't like to hear the truth.
Until that's fixed, nothing is a conversation. Look at the concept of saying I'm just a girl. That's like the perennial display of unaccountability.
What do girls do that niggas?
At this big old age, if you cannot regulate your emotions,
Really
you do not
bad.
need to be in no relationship. What the hell you look like looking for your man to regulate your emotion, Miss Independent? Miss, I got all my degree, I know everything. You know everything, but you don't know how to control your emotions.
Since you got your degree, you know every fucking thing.
You don't know how to calm yourself down? Y'all always doing yoga and meditating. Y'all don't know you need your man to calm you down? Like, come on now. And as I said, men, pay attention to these things. If she's like, oh, well, a man is supposed to make me soft. A man is supposed to make me feminine. That's the basic. That's supposed to come natural to you. You're a woman. You're supposed to be feminine. But if you need a man to make you feminine, come on. Like, let's have the honest conversation. But they love to repeat these talking points. And this, I'm just a girl. You're an adult. Grow up.
My question is, what gives Guy the ick?
What gives guys the ick? I became a grown-ass man for real, and this may piss some of the women off in here, but it is what it is. I realized how much lack of accountability I had accepted in my relationships. It was probably like 3 or 4 months in. It was something light. But you was the first woman to ever apologize to me. And of course, I didn't need it. I can't even say I didn't want it, because you've taught me to know how to verbalize the things that my soul and my spirit wants that my mind says I don't need because I'm a man. You gave me the apology. You broke down why you feel like you fucked up, right? You gave me the whole explanation. And that kind of healed certain parts of my heart that I didn't even know was broken, because I held so much space to be violated in ways where the accountability was never taken. Realize in that moment, this my wife. I could have. That's some sexy shit right there. Hey, Buddha, that's some sexy shit you talking about over there. You my woman. And look, real quick, knowing what I know now and realizing there are women out here who can take accountability to that degree, looking back at that version of myself before I met my wife, I couldn't have continued to get into another fucking relationship with a woman that could not say, my bad. Haters online sending sellouts make my
Shout out to them. Let's see the comment section under this. Breaking down the apology is truly a sign of being an evolved person. 100% an accountable woman is wife material for me. And then the thing is, it's more than just saying I'm sorry. It's also analyzing what caused the reason to have to apologize. That you did something out of pocket is also being able to have the conversation, to take accountability on the conversation of, okay, why it got to this point. But I feel like a lot of times when you just say I'm sorry, it's like a band-aid you put over it and then you can repeat the same thing over again. So accountability goes deeper than just apologizing, but as we know, a lot of women can't apologize, so that's a conversation to be had. Somebody said this is literally one of the reasons I married my wife as well. It surprised me she apologized for something that was small, and at the moment I knew she would be my wife, and we was only 3 months into dating at the time. Shout out to them. Said the game changes for you when you pay attention. Men actually soften up more when a woman no longer looks at apologizing as admitting defeat. Being able to take accountability is a high quality feminine trait, and a lot of women don't even realize it. And it's like, if you are protective of your peace, and if you want to be your man's peace, apologizing is not, God damn, is it really that deep? Is it really that serious? The last comment I'm going to read said, this was beautifully said, and I felt this 100% with brother. And even how she was looking at him smiling, you can know she's smitten. Shout out to them.
Unpopular opinion. The relationship is the prize. The union is the prize. Not the man, not the woman.
Exactly.
What y'all build together, the legacy you leave behind, that's the prize.
Exactly. Preach this. And it just shows their narcissism for wanting to be the prize so badly. Do you not love your man? Like, why you need to be the prize so badly in the relationship? Because as I always said, if you are saying you're the prize, what are you saying about your man? Anyways, let's see her comment section. Somebody said, let's go deeper. A godly, God-honoring spouse, loving relationship is the prize. Not all relationships between a man and a woman should exist. Went without saying, but anyways, never thought about it this way, but I agree 1,000%. Somebody said, I just seen this video of a man saying the same thing word for word. Okay, he either stole, the author responded to that and said he either stole my post or he gets it LOL. Either way, it's a real spill. Exactly. I can't say the exact same thing word for word. I've been saying this since the beginning of time. It doesn't matter. The truth still stands. Somebody said 100%, period. I say this all the time. The ego will destroy a healthy relationship. Neither party is better. The unit is the prize. Exactly. Because again, as I say, if you're going around saying, oh, I'm the prize, what are you saying about your partner? Anyways, let's move on.
What happens is now you keep him in a constant state of fight or flight mode. You keep him in a constant state of fight or flight mode because he don't know if you're going to leave. He don't know if he come home and he did the wrong thing or didn't showcase his love today, that you're going to throw a fit, you're going to withdraw love, you're going to manipulate. He don't know if, what you're doing when you're saying those comments, if you're trying to get a specific reaction out of him so that you could feel loved by him, and that's really the intent behind it. But to him, it's actually just coming off like you're criticizing me, degrading me, and emasculating me in this moment. But for you, you get upset when he gets upset because you're like, why didn't you just see that all I needed in that moment was a hug and a kiss? And so what happens is you keep in a constant state of fight or flight mode. So now he's starting to get irritable, emotional himself. He starts playing the same mind games as you in the senses of, I'm just going to withdraw love from her then. I'm not. What happens is
exactly. And then you see, going back to the prize video, if you have the mindset that the relationship is the prize, the relationship is something that's so great that we have to hold on to. These petty arguments, like these, oh, he didn't give me a hug and a kiss. Okay, communicate that. Like, I think if you have the mindset that, okay, the relationship is the prize, the relationship is valuable, you'll be able to get over things that doesn't really matter as much, petty arguments that don't matter as much. But when you think you are the prize, your ego gets in the way, and then you refuse to communicate. You refuse to try and see things from his perspective, or vice versa. You refuse to see things from your partner's perspective, and then you just walk around thinking that, okay, you know what, I'm all that and a bag of chips, and I don't have to work as hard or put in any effort to make this relationship work because I am the prize. And that is why that's the issue right there. That is why anybody who gonna walk around calling themselves the prize is a huge red flag.
Red flag when nothing know, red flag when I don't see it.
This is why I have the utmost respect for the passport bros, the men who would rather be single, the men who would rather be in the roof, the corner of the roof, than to be dealing with women who think you need to put their emotions over the logical point, thinking that it's your responsibility to regulate their emotions. These big old women looking for a man to regulate their own emotion. Excuse me? Y'all go to the next video that pop up on the screen. Remember, with points and laughs, entertainment purposes only. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, y'all.
From your first note.
Okay, thank you to Chantal Simone. Have another clip here from the Crimson Curl. Let's get it.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Actually doesn't do that, but we do. We don't need to be suspicious, but we do gotta vet. See, the women gotta vet just like the men do. You can't get a sister's time told because we got to be able to see your trouble and your threat. And this is how the men get fooled. Let's talk about the chameleon in a relationship, not just in these online spaces. The reason why chameleons keep black men jaded and bitter is because most of the time black men cannot tell the difference between a chameleon and a lioness, because the chameleon plays the long game in order to bypass his vetting process, or to get him to not go deep into his vetting process.
Yep.
This is the long game that she's playing. This is why it's a long game, because what she's trying to do is she's trying to
get at finesse.
get him to lower his guard on the time, the toll, the trouble, the threat. She's trying to get him to, take it easy. Don't be so hard. Loosen up his standards. Don't, you ain't gotta be like that. Because what you think I'm gonna do? You don't trust me, not far as I can throw you. And for as big as a bunch of years, I can't throw you very far or at all. So, so let's go on. Time. Let's talk about time. Yeah, that's she always real quiet and somewhere just not. What she do is she uses a man's time up. She gets him to pay her toll. She presents her trouble as no big deal. And she promises that she won't use the threat in her hand. All cap. All cap. Chameleons is full of cap. They
always have been.
Cap store with a chameleon as a fake Lacoste logo. Cap. Everything a chameleon say is cap. Everything. Time. How she fool a man out of his time? Let's take a look at time. Thank you, Eugene. So this shows that the most effective courting vetting techniques are not 100% foolproof. Nothing is 100%, but we can get you pretty far. Because chameleons only need to be pressed. And we'll talk about what that pressure is towards the end of the show. But let's take a look at time. Time Most men in today's society understand he has to invest the intangible and non-renewable source of time to get to know a woman. He's determining if the reciprocity he receives benefits him moving forward. How does she get him to bypass time? And why is she trying to do this? By portraying herself as feminine and willing to be submissive, she finesses time from him. Okay? What is this time? What is this time? What she's trying to do is usurp time that he would give to other more important priorities and give it to her. See, the communion, we finna get into it. Thank you again, Chano. So this is why sex after marriage is a red flag to communions. That's 6 months to a year faking it. She gonna crack. See, discipline is very, very good tool. Because women look for sexual validation from men. Especially when they punching above their weight class. So when they punching above their weight class, they want the sexual validation from that man. If he refuses and she's a chameleon, she gonna crack. If he refuses and she's a lioness, she gonna go with his program.
No lies told.
Some very key differences. Very key differences. Now, going back to the time, she want him to give up time that he would give for other more important things and divert that time to her. This is a move to eventually make her the number one priority in his life. She wanna be number one. Lionesses understand that we are not number one in our husband's list of priorities. We're not number one. Can the lionesses in the chat back me up? We're not number one, and we know that, and we're okay with that, because we know that if we're number one, we can't benefit off of that. Yeah, it stroke the ego, but that don't help me. It don't help him. It don't help nobody. Thank you, Uncle Stu. It don't help nobody. The relationship is not helped. I'm not helped. I am not helped by being number one, because him putting me number one makes him put his purpose below me. Lionesses understand that a man's purpose must be above us, not under. Because if he ain't on the purpose, I don't want to be with him no way. I'm with him because he was on his purpose. If he stopped the purpose, what I want with him? See, that's simp test number one. A simp puts a woman first.
Yep, unfortunately.
Only a simp. Only the low down, dirtiest simp. Because simps is low down and dirty. I don't like simps at all. They come around, they play nice, they act like they really about to do good by you. They not about to do good by you. I can't stand a simp. I cannot stand a simp. And I talked about that yesterday. They might need a part two, because I really don't like them. Because they really conniving and dirty, just like they little hyena counterpart. But we ain't talking about the simps today. Today we talking about these chameleons. Chameleons don't see the bigger picture. Chameleons do not invest in visions. It's the chameleons that are the 80% divorce rate. Them the chameleons. She played good enough to get married. But when the struggle came, when it was time for her to demonstrate that she understood the assignment, she didn't understand the assignment. She had a completely different assignment. Completely different assignment. Chameleons want to be number one in the priority list, but lionesses know that's not where we're supposed to be, because our men, we know, is supposed to submit to the Most High and to his purpose as a man. If he's not doing that, there's nothing he can do for me as a lioness. We know this.
Talk about it.
Chameleons don't care because she's only trying to maneuver herself into a control position. The reason she want to be number one in his priority list is
for
to
control.
utilize his emotions against him and manipulate him with them.
Yep.
If you love me, if you want to be with me, see, the chameleon, after she thinks she done got that position, start giving you ultimatums. Based on she thinking she got you all wrapped up and in love with her. Now she want to give you all kind of ultimatums. If you don't do this, this gonna happen. You better do this, and then if you don't, and then I'm gonna do this, and then this one I'm not gonna do, and then see, that's a chameleon. That's chameleon talk.
Shout out to Kristen Kerr. Have another clip here. From Amala. I can't pronounce Amala's last name, but anyway, here's Amala.
Now, this conversation might piss a lot of people off, but it's time we get into black and ghetto fatigue. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. I don't know how this one's going to be taken, but I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had because I keep seeing this particular phrase or these particular phrases pop up all over the place, and it's black fatigue and ghetto fatigue. And first we have to talk about what these things mean. Okay, so the phrase black fatigue has actually changed over time. Interestingly enough, when you look up the term black fatigue, you're going to find that it's derived from an author, Mary Frances Winters, in her book titled Black Fatigue: How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. And the term was originally used to describe the feeling that black people have in facing systemic racism and systemic oppression, a fatigue that only black people experience because of their black experience in a Western colonial system. But now you've seen black fatigue taking another direction online, and it's people essentially saying they're tired of black culture, they're tired of ghetto behavior, they're tired of black behavior, essentially. Now, of course, I'm gonna put a disclaimer on this video. Not all black people behave in a way that is later used to justify feeling black fatigue. Not all black people are engaging in the black culture that we are going to talk about in today's
Put a disclaimer
video.
out
There
there.
is a very present issue, I think, that our society is facing right now, and it's leading to things like black or, say, ghetto fatigue. So we're gonna break down this issue. And I've seen a number of people do this on YouTube already. Shout out to Amir Odom, who did a huge video on black fatigue and teen takeovers. I recommend you go and watch that. I'm going to show you some examples of what people are talking about when they say they're experiencing black and ghetto fatigue. This video says, quote, the definition of you can't take black people anywhere. 650,000 likes on that, with people just getting down in a restaurant filled with tons of people on a packed night where people are trying to work. Here's another one. In Houston, the gas station is the after hours spot, meaning this is happening late at night at a Houston gas station. So you hear loud music playing, you hear somebody saying, we're out here in the hood, period. Here's another one from ABC News 7. Hundreds of teens take over Chicago neighborhood. Now I'm going to read some of the comments here. Some say, I'm tired of this. Some say, well. And essentially they're going, well. I know exactly who the people are who are going to be responsible for this sort of behavior. And it's actually a pop culture reference, which I won't get into right now. Well. There's a lot of levels to this. And I don't even know that I can unpack all of this in an entire video. It's going to take maybe multiple parts to get down to the bottom of all this, but we're going to start today. Another person writes, fatigue is real with a broken heart. We're going to get into another video. This one shows a bunch of people populating in a burger spot. Over and over again, it seems to be the same story. A ton of people getting together, a ton of it seems really young Black people, loud music, screaming, congregating in areas where you probably aren't supposed to be congregating, where people are trying to do their jobs, where others are trying to get things done and lead their normal lives. And a lot of people are attributing this to Black people and Black culture because that's who they're seeing in these spaces. And it's then leading to the phrase Black fatigue being shared all over the internet. And this expands far beyond the teen takeovers and the mobs and the street hangouts and parties. People are now looking at other parts of Black culture or what they believe to be Black culture and saying they're fatigued with that as well. One of the things they're saying is part of Black culture that they're fatigued with is the dependence on government and popping out a bunch of kids. And if you haven't seen this, I'll show some examples. This TikTok says, I received a letter saying I make too much to get food stamps. I have 12 kids. How?
Yeah, so I just got a damn notification.
Why you got 12 kids, man? Seriously. Why you got 12 kids?
They sent me a damn letter. First of all, I thought it was a letter because I did let them know that I did not want to do, paper notifications instead of email notifications because that's how I forgot to recertify. They're going to send me a letter saying that I make too much. My household income is too much, so they won't even qualify me anymore for EBT. How in the and I got 12 kids.
How did 12 kids get into the picture? One of the top comments on this video. Raise your hand if you're tired of this. Let's move on to the next video. This one says, they done took all the sweets from food stamps. Finna have to trade a pack of chicken for Lil Debbie snacks.
They have taken all the sweets of the SNAP benefits. Y'all,
They show you
we
crying?
are about to be passing out packs of chicken in exchange for Little Debbie snack cakes. I promise y'all it'll be worth it. I'm gonna get y'all the organic grass-fed chicken.
And guess what, guys? I'm gonna keep going. This next one. White people making babies versus Black people making babies.
Yo, one thing I never understood is when white people be like, we're trying for a baby. We're trying for a baby. You know, we've been trying for years. We just trying. And that's just one thing I never understood. Like, because in our community, it's like, yo, this bitch just keep getting pregnant.
A lot of these videos are shocking. I can't say that they're necessarily surprising because I think a lot of us, if we're being honest, can look at certain parts of the Black community and recognize that these issues are running rampant
Yeah, they are.
these parts of the community.
They
it's
are.
become one of those things where you can't necessarily talk about it because you will be labeled as a bigot or a racist for saying these are things that have been attributed to Black culture, and now the Black people are taking on and essentially saying this is our culture and this is how we are. And of course there are people who act in these ways that are not Black, but when you look at this behavior, there does seem to be a particular pattern of Black people and young Black people at that engaging in this way. And we're going to talk about why that takes place, not just the reaction to it and the idea of being fatigued with Black culture. We're also going to talk about the fact that this was not Black culture in the past. Black culture is something that is shifted and taken on many different forms, and it's very interesting that some Black people want to hold on to these sorts of acts, behaviors, and tendencies and call them Black culture. Guys, you know I've dealt with my fair share of stalkers and scammers online. Your girl is no stranger to those experiences, which is why I'm excited to announce today's sponsor, Incogni. Whether it's scammers, identity thieves, data brokers, you need to protect your personal information. I've even learned recently that data brokers are targeting pregnant women and getting their personal data online, which not this pregnant woman, because I'm using Incogni. Incogni is a tool that you can use to track down your personal data online and have it removed, snatched up. And the process is really simple. All you have to do is create an account, authorize Incogni to remove your data, and then they will do the heavy lifting from there. And if you go on their unlimited plan, they now have custom removals, which means that you can submit specific websites to Incogni for removal. Here's the key. They cannot harm you if they cannot find you. So if you go to incogni.com/Amala and use code Amala, you're going to get 60% off an annual plan. Again, go to incogni.com/Amala, use code Amala, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan. Thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. But first, let's keep laying out what people are seeing. So we got through kids and the dependency on government and welfare systems that we have set in place in our country. Let's talk about how these children are acting. Here's a video on TikTok that says we gotta save our children.
We gotta save our children.
What's up? We gonna put their ass. We gonna hot their ass.
What y'all gonna do?
After a while, gonna put their ass. We gonna milk their ass. We got ops right here. We got ops around here.
Y'all got ops.
We got ops.
So for those of you who do not understand what these kids are saying, they're saying things like, we're gonna pop their ass, we're gonna shoot people, essentially. They're saying we have ops out here, which if you don't know what that means, they're saying they have enemies in their community, and that's why they are armed with toy guns to shoot their toy enemies, I guess, and the other little kids who are running around in these neighborhoods who are their ops. Let's keep watching.
We got real ops. We got real ops. Before I blow, I'm gonna blow. Before I leave, I gotta blow all this.
I'm gonna pray for you. You hear me, my boy?
Pray. All around with it.
Crazy.
Don't blink.
Get everyone looking their best with Auto Best Take.
Don't blink. Now I got you listening. You don't wanna miss a thing, so don't blink.
Crazy.
And it's so crazy to watch these videos because you know that
Too
these kids
crazy.
are going to grow up and keep emulating this behavior, but in far more serious ways than maybe what you see displayed in these videos. You have ballet teachers, kindergarten teachers saying that kids are showing up to class wanting to listen to rap music, wanting to dance to Sexy Red and Meg Thee Stallion. And I mean like 5-year-old ballet classes. That's what people are dealing with in some of these communities. And I've already shown you videos of the teen takeovers that are happening in places like Chicago, Houston, Atlanta, where Black teens are getting together to the tune of hundreds, if not thousands of them, and deciding particular places, establishments that they're going to show up and essentially create mobs. And in these mobs, there's loud music, there's screaming, there's often violence, sometimes shootings. It's getting out of hand. And when you watch videos like the little kids I just showed you, it's very easy to figure out how they may end up at some of these teen takeovers and in other horrible positions within these communities. It affects their personal lives and their growing up, their coming of age stories, but it also affects all the people who are living in these communities with these teens and with these young people. And it's no wonder a lot of them are screaming out Black fatigue. Now, when it comes to the effect that you're having on other people's lives within the society that we're all trying to coexist in with one another, I think a great example of this is trying to go shopping and having all the different products that you're trying to purchase as somebody who is trying to live their life locked up behind glass. This is something that I experience all the time living in LA. It is very interesting how you can go into certain communities where everything is open and you're able to shop freely, and others where things are locked up. And even when we get down to the items that are locked up, you can see there's particular issues with particular communities. I'll explain.
This is $3.80. This is $11. This is $3. This is $11. Do you see the logic at Walmart? Okay, just want to make sure everybody sees the logic.
Now, this is a white woman trying to shop at Walmart. She notices that a $3 skincare product is locked up and needs security in order for you to purchase it, but an $11 or $12 sunscreen is not locked up. I have to ask, who's buying sunscreen? What's the racial demographic of a person buying sunscreen? Can we have the conversation, okay? Here's another video where somebody says you go to Target in Fordham for the first time and everything is locked up.
The ghetto.
Interestingly enough, the audio says, ooh, the ghetto. Another one, everything is locked up in PG Mall. My God.
I am literally at a Target in another neighborhood, and I kid you not, like everything is locked up. Everything is locked up. Everything is locked up.
Yep.
Why is it that you're in a Target in another neighborhood, and what is the racial makeup of that neighborhood, and could that explain why things are locked up? And we've seen other videos where people go into stores and they're looking at things like foundation and makeup products and finding that those of darker skin tones are locked behind glass, while lighter foundations are free for people to purchase at any moment they want to. They don't need to call an employee in order to grab a certain product. Why? Because products with darker complexions or that service a darker complexion are being stolen more than lighter ones. And I have to say, as a mixed person myself, it is so embarrassing to have to go out into your community and try to shop, try to be a normal person living in society, and you have to eventually, I guess, have a chaperone to just do the shopping that you need to do in a regular store. And when we talk about issues like racial profiling or being judged or having to have a chaperone when you're trying to shop at a store, can we at all be surprised? And this is the reality. You have people who are choosing not to abide by the law, impacting those that do. So now my experience and the experience of so many other people changes because of people who don't want to follow the rules and people who don't want to engage in society in the way that everybody else has agreed to. And what this creates is communities that I will call high risk, low trust, where it feels risky just to walk out of your front door and try to be around normal people, or try to go to a restaurant, or you feel like you're going to be judged for looking the way you look because how other people who look like you behave. Low trust means there's not as much freedom. Nobody's trusting you to actually engage in the way that they would engage, and it creates so many barriers to just experiencing life in the way that others get to experience it. Here's a great video example.
Look how freaking cute this is. I was on my walk and I saw this little sign with all these little flowers. So I went home and grabbed some money, and now I'm gonna put some money in and take a little flower thing. How cute is this? Got myself some flowers. These are so freaking cute.
That is freaking cute. But let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all know what the question is going to be, but here we go.
Did you take the money?
How long does a place like that or a stand like that last in Atlanta?
Not
Now, y'all
long.
want to ask the question, so I ask the fucking question. How long would a stand like that last in Memphis?
Not long.
How long would a stand like that last in Detroit?
Not long.
How long would a stand like that last in Chicago on the South Side? How long?
These are questions that we have to start having answers to. And the interesting thing is, nobody could speak and answer this guy's question, but we all would know what the answer is. These stands and things could not exist in these areas because they wouldn't last. Nobody would be trusted to go home, put a little bit of money in a jar, and then take these flowers at their own discretion. And I see these things in being in different neighborhoods. You go to predominantly white places or white shopping centers, and sometimes they'll have stands with fruit or snacks or baked goods. And it essentially says, I trust you, put in $5 and take whatever you want. And you see a jar full of money and people who are going and buying these goods without any attendant, any cashier, anybody to keep things secure. Could you see the same in some of the areas that he mentioned in this video? No. And just one more example to drive this home. I could go on and on with all the different ways in which this impacts us, and we could break down all the minutia of this, but I'll stick to things that I've just personally experienced and conversations that I've actually been having recently with friends and people in my community. I know a lot of people who are servers here in LA, and whether we want to have this conversation or not, nearly every single server that I've spoken to in this city says that they are not interested in serving predominantly black tables and customers. Now, this comes off as a racist, bigoted conversation, but is it in fact that when we look into how people of these cultural backgrounds engage when they go out to restaurants?
show you a video. Our own servers are afraid of us, y'all. They don't even want to come to the table no more. But she didn't come back in to check on us, but she was ever so present for that white family. Was looking at us like, y'all not finna drive me cat raggedy for no tip. Talking about why aren't my wings fried hard? Asked for plastic silverware. My food ain't cooked all the way. Even though I ate it, I want a whole another one, but I also want a refund because it's not what I wanted in the first place.
Now, for those of you who didn't catch what she said black people are coming into restaurants. They're demanding for their food to be cooked in a very particular way. They want things like plastic forks and knives because they don't trust the restaurant cutlery that is given to them when they're served. When they get food, many of these people are acting like they got the wrong food or they don't like the food in order to get services comped and the food comped and to have their bill lowered. And then when it gets to a tip, which typically in America people are expecting 20% tip, these
You ain't getting
people
no
are not
20%.
tipping, or when they tip very, very low. Even the black servers that I know are looking around and going, I do not want to serve black tables. Why? Like, don't even get me started on what's going on in the Red Lobsters and the Applebee's. I saw a video the other day of 3 young black girls who were just devastating their local Wendy's over a biggie bag, throwing drinks at the servers, throwing food at the servers, trying to bust down the window. It's getting ridiculous. And it is just devastating to me that this is being attributed to black people in totality when it is not black people in totality. And we're gonna get to at the end of this video, black people who are over black people themselves and they're feeling black fatigue and they're over this like ghetto behavior. The issue and people's responses to it. I think a common bit of pushback is, why are you talking about this through the lens of race? Why is it black culture? Why are we calling it black fatigue? There are people other than black people who act in this way. And that is fair. Although I think we've already laid out that there's a particular pattern and a particular intensity at which this appears in the black community. And that's why people are framing this as black culture and black fatigue. Another issue is a lot of black people are sort of gatekeeping these particular behaviors and these particular aspects of their community and saying that this is blackness. And if you fall outside of these behavioral mindsets, you are labeled as acting white or having internalized racism or white supremacy. Because this is a larger idea, I'm going to break it down with a few very unique examples. There was a trend that took place online called the quarter zip and matcha trend. Some of you may have picked up on this. It was a trend where black men in particular were saying, we're going to abandon some of the clothing styles that are attached to blackness and black culture, and we're going to start wearing quarter zips and matchas. We're going to start dressing like the finance bros that are walking on Wall Street. Essentially what they're saying is we're going to start dressing for success. Really nothing more than that. We're going to start dressing in a way that brings about a better look as far as society is concerned. Now here's a black woman responding to this trend and saying that it is actually internalized whiteness.
Like, maybe I'm too woke, but I don't find the quarter zip shit funny because I also didn't find it funny a couple years ago when all those black men put on suits and then stood around in suits.
And you're such an idiot.
In general,
you is a damn idiot.
Obsession is with defining themselves by their clothing and not really actively doing any. This is not deeper than just like, well, we can put on suits. I can also put on a suit. What is the point that you're trying to make here? Like, it's like costume. Like, let's dress up as the social idea of success or productivity or decent, productive human being. I don't even understand what y'all are trying to communicate.
You don't even get it. Shut the fuck up.
Essentially dressing up as white men. Like, that's kind of the underlying idea. Suits, quarter zips, like associating yourself with this like stereotypically white style. Hello?
Who said that suits were for white people? Who said that quarter zips were for white people? And that matchas were for white people? And of course we draw these lines in sensing certain patterns. And you do see predominantly white people or white men in particular dressing in these ways and acting in these ways. But just because a black man chooses to then engage with that part culturally or to dress in that way culturally does not mean that he's in fact trying to be white. And if you don't think this runs deeper than a TikTok video, I'm going to bring up some interesting research that was done by none other than been Roland Fryer and Paul Torelli. Now, Roland Fryer I spoke about on this channel before. He was a Harvard professor. He had a very tumultuous career because of a lot of the things that he was studying. But he did an empirical analysis on acting white, and he actually found that within low-income, predominantly Black communities, what would happen is that as Black kids started to achieve academically, started to raise their standards and perform better within education, they were labeled as acting white, and they became far less popular within their respective communities and with their friends and peers. Now, when they stepped out of these communities into places of different economic statuses and of different racial makeups, this idea of acting white essentially disappeared. People were not making this accusation against other students. They were not treated in a similar fashion for being successful and for achieving academically. And beyond that, we have to acknowledge the fact that this is not always what Black culture was. And with that, I'm going to get into this video that sort of spawned this entire idea for me.
Wonder why so many people recoil away from us. They don't recoil away from us because of the color of our skin. That's foolish. They recoil away from us because our culture sucks. And I know that's a lot for a lot of people to take in because we're supposed to be nice. We live in a very PC culture, but you're not going to get that from me. Our culture, Black culture, sucks. It just does. Nobody wants to live around it. We have to look at how Black culture has so put an impression in people's minds that that's something they want to get away from and not something that they want to be associated with. It's 100% cultural. The fact is, Black culture today is in such shams that it causes people to recoil away from it. But before the 1960s, the man to aspire to be in the Black community was the pastor, the entrepreneur, and the father. Those were the three. Wow. What we've managed to do since the 60s, going into the 70s, there was something called Blaxploitation films. Blaxploitation films were films that glorified things that used to be taboo in Black culture, namely pimping, hustling, drug selling, being a degenerate. They glorified all these things in the 70s films. And it wasn't something that the whites or the Jews were doing to us. No, you have Black actors who are all too willing to play the part. As you get into the 80s, into the 90s, you have the introduction of gangster rap, and you have the introduction of all these things, which are leaning heavy into this degenerate culture. If you look at Black and white photos from the 40s of Black families and white families, you see no distinguishable difference. They dress the same, they look the same, they walk the same, they take care of their families the same, everything's the same. There's no emphasis on being Black and being separate and being different. You don't get that until the 70s with the Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, this kind of Black culture.
He's saying the uncomfortable part out loud, that not only do people not want to engage in this behavior, they don't want to be around people who are engaging in this behavior.
Exactly.
Instead of having a conversation about that, I think we sort of deflect and stop people from taking accountability. We blame others, we blame whiteness, we blame racism. Sometimes when you look at lower income communities who are struggling with these issues, and maybe white people or higher income people or differently educated individuals move into these communities, we call it gentrification. When those people can no longer withstand living in those communities and they leave because this behavior is taking place, we call that white flight. And an important part of this discussion is that Black culture was not always like this, as he stated in that video, but that it also doesn't have to continue to be like this. We can work our way out of this. And where I could go 1,000 more directions in this video, and as I said before, I will probably need a part 2. I will close out this video with Black people who are also experiencing Black and ghetto fatigue, because I think this can so often be packaged as white people judging Black people or white supremacy or bigotry, and I've already stated that a million times, but Black people are over this too, and it's okay to say that. So here are some examples.
If you're a Black American, I need you to stay right here. If you're not, I'll give you a few seconds so you can go on and scroll on by. Great. Okay. We need to have a talk. You know, it comes to a point where supporting and defending your community just is, it becomes so exhausting that you feel this frustration and you start to understand why people have the Black fatigue that they talk about.
I just came out here to say that I'm keeping my child as far away from ghetto shit as possible. I hate everything that come with it. Like, I hate the way that people glamorize the hood, glamorize everything about the ghetto. And it's so stupid to me because when you know better, you do better. But people in the hood don't seem to understand that that is not a good life to be living.
Next, this lady was doing a job interview, did a drug screening on an applicant. He ended up testing positive for cocaine. She says, hey, we're gonna have to test you a little bit further. I'm gonna need a urine sample from you. He asks for a favor and says, well, you really work by the book, don't you? Here's what she had to say.
What is it with other Black people thinking that I'm supposed to jeopardize my job so they can get a job? I'm not one of those. I'm all for the culture. I'm a girly's girl. I'm going to do everything I can for my people. But where we draw the line is when you come in here and fail a drug test and you still think that I'm supposed to put you on a job.
And one more, in case the topic is not being driven home enough, because this guy just lays it out like it is, and he's very passionate about what he has to say.
No, we don't hate our own kind. We just so don't confuse me with every Black person you see. I don't like they about to the whole summer up. Look at these kids.
He right.
Look what they wearing to school. What the is these
He
parents?
right.
I don't give a who got something to say about this.
He
These
right.
kids is about to this summer up. Every mall in America about to be up. It's no parents being held accountable. People talking about we going to war. Donald Trump need to see about this. These parents out here is worthless. These kids out here running around like they grown. The teachers are scared to teach them at the school. These little girls is dressing like prostitutes coming to school. We hate they're about to destroy this summer. This summer is about to be destroyed. I don't care what nobody feel about this. Watch what I tell you.
So there it is. Call it what you want. Call it Black fatigue. Call it ghetto fatigue. Call it being upset with your community. Call it being upset with what is now deemed to be Black culture. This issue is an issue regardless of how you package it. And if we're more concerned with the packaging of the conversation than the conversation itself, then we're not going to get anything done. And there are people out there of all different backgrounds, creeds, colors, Black people themselves who I think have solutions when it comes to this issue, have something to add to the conversation. But again, we can't have the conversation unless we choose to sit down, acknowledge that it may be a little bit uncomfortable, acknowledge that it may not always feel good to talk about these things, but we have to talk about them nonetheless. So this is, I guess, part one on Black fatigue and ghetto fatigue. I would love to hear your thoughts on everything we discussed in this video, because it was a lot, and there's so much more. Drop them in the comments down below and let me know how you feel. If you disagree with anything I said in this video, duke it out, but do so respectfully. I encourage healthy debate on this.
And thank you to Imala for that right there. We're going to go into the next one in just a second. Go to the next one.
I know those moments where you need a bit extra light, but this is the small rig 10 watt max light. Now this isn't just a light.
A bank manager received a call.
Shout out to Crime and All for this clip. Let's get it.
From a man requesting a money transfer, claiming to be the account owner. The manager refused, saying verification was required.
Someone's been calling non-stop, asking to transfer a certain amount. I'm like, okay, well, we can do this transfer over the phone, you know, to verify you. You have to come into the branch and do everything else, whatever. So he hanged up. Okay, he calls again. He's been calling non-stop.
Later, the man showed up at the bank and said his wife wanted to change the phone number on the account.
You're going to update an account?
Update the phone number for the account.
Gotcha.
The manager insisted that his wife needed to be present in person. He replied that she was on her way.
Does not sound like a 78-year-old. It sounds like a really young person. So that was the first thing I caught. I'm like, that voice does not match like this age.
But something didn't feel right. When questioned further, the man admitted that his wife was actually in the hospital. Then corrected himself, saying she was in the morgue.
Really, dude? You can't even keep your life straight.
She's in hospital.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
He couldn't even keep his life straight.
Yeah.
Lying.
But she's in hospital.
In the morgue, yeah.
Despite this, he remained unusually confident.
Listen, man, I'm not into transfer, bro. All right? I got sent here by somebody else. I'm coming here to do this for him. That's it. Okay?
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to take anything from nobody. He sent me in here to do the stupid ass phone change and everything.
All right.
Okay? I'm not trying to take nothing. I ain't trying to get nothing.
At that point, what seemed like a routine banking request turned into something far more serious, and police stepped in to uncover the truth.
You said he's impersonating another customer?
A customer, and then the one that drove off right now, they're the ones with him, but they just drove away. They were in a Suburban.
Black Suburban, they just went south?
Yes, and then the kid just got off, and he's like, "Oh, where's the ATM?" And I'm like, "That's probably." There's a GMC right there, but it wasn't a GMC, the one that pulled up.
That's fine.
He just yelled at a Suburban. He got confused and he was walking up to my SUV, and then he's like, "Oh wait, no, that's not it."
How's it going, Boynton Beach Police Department?
Yes, ma'am. Sir, I'm sorry.
What's going on today?
Nothing.
Obviously, something's going on over
There's
here.
nothing going on, bro. Come in here to make an update on my phone. That was it. For my account.
For your what?
For the account.
You're gonna update an account?
Update the phone number for the account.
Gotcha. All right. So if I run this information, it's gonna come back to you?
Why would it come back to me?
I'm asking.
Of course it will.
Gotcha.
Sure, you did all that.
Do you mind running that? You got your statement real quick. Alright. Can I just get your information real quick? So what exactly is going on today?
So, someone's being. Someone's been calling me non-stop, asking to transfer a certain amount. I'm like, okay, well, we can do this transfer over the phone, you know, to verify you. You have to come into the branch and do everything else, whatever. So he hanged up. Okay, he calls again. He's been calling non-stop. So I'm like, all right. I said, listen, you have to come in. First of all, his voice does not sound like a 78-year-old. It sounds like a really young person. So that was the first thing I caught. I'm like, that voice does not match like this age. Then they called again. So apparently they just went to another branch in Lake Worth. They were not able to get the ID, and he walked in. This guy pretending to be him.
Do you have a picture of the person?
Oh, the real one? Well, the real one, I've been calling him. He doesn't answer. I called the branch that he usually visits, and I was talking to the manager, the banker. And I'm like, hey, how does he look like? So she started describing to him. I'm like, that's definitely not him. The ID is clearly fake. And she's been calling the real customer. He's not answering either. And this guy went and told the people in Lake Worth, oh yeah, my wife is gonna come in to do the changes to update the phone number. The real Mr. Ortiz's wife passed away. So we put two and two together, and he called the branch right now saying, huh? No, I didn't tell him that. He called the branch right now saying, oh, I'm heading to you guys so you can make the changes for me. I said, sure, I'll be here. So he's like, what's your name? I said, Carmen. He's like, you're going to be able to do it for me? I said, sure, come in. And that's when he just walked in. The Suburban pulled up in here. And then he realized that we were here. So they drove off. They parked on that side, but they dropped him off. And then when he's right now, he's like, oh, I'm coughing a lot. Can I go to the car? I said, sure. As he's walking over there, the Suburban notices you guys, I'm assuming, and they just drove off.
All right. Do you have your driver's license on you?
Yeah.
Real quick. Can you just state your name and date of birth? You gotta get us 1 second. Go ahead.
Carmen.
Just for everything you just told me is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
So he didn't try to make a withdrawal today,
He's trying to make changes because he wants a cashier's check for $20,000. That's the whole thing.
Cashier's check? Is that what he told you?
Yes, and I have the name of who he wanted to make it payable to. We looked up the phone number of who that's been calling. It matches with someone named Derek that used to bank with us but that person's address is somewhere in Georgia. The real Mr. Ortiz debit card was just used in Alabama. He's an older guy. He doesn't even use a debit card.
Gotcha.
So it's like a whole ring connection of something going on that they're using it out of state.
Hold on, I got it. 2.2.
Hey, Mr. Ortiz, where's your wife at?
My wife's in Huntsville.
She's in Huntsville?
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, well, she passed recently, didn't she?
Yeah, I got that.
But she's in Huntsville.
In the morgue, yeah.
Gotcha.
Listen, man, I'm not here
transport?
all right? I got sent in here by somebody else. I'm in here to do this for them, that's it. Okay?
Gotcha.
I'm not trying to take anything from nobody. He sent me in here to do the stupid ass phone change and everything.
All right.
Okay? I'm not trying to take nothing. I ain't trying to get nothing. But he wanted me to get the phone change for him.
Gotcha. So, she's telling me you came in here to collect a $20,000 cashier.
No, I ain't collecting $20,000 cashier check.
You were trying to.
No. I'm not trying to do nothing.
Did I come back?
No, just go ahead. Right now.
Right. Take me free.
All right.
35425, you show me 10 8, nothing further. Sure.
We have to actually check, but I was on the
$20,000 to be
Charlie 11065.
6140.
249, Master Auto Body, 4000
Can you provide me with basic info for
all overhead warehouse
victim?
door.
Ortiz. Like name, phone number, where, how I can contact them.
No, they're not answering, so I'll bring you.
So you're in possession of a fake ID.
Oh, well, before anything, you're not free to leave, all right?
I'm required to warn you that before you make any statement, that you have the following constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent and not answer any questions. Any statement you make must be freely and voluntarily given. You have the right to the presence and representation of a lawyer of your choice before you make any statement and during any questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, you're entitled to the presence and representation of a court-appointed lawyer before you make any statement and during any questioning. If at any time during the interview you do not wish to answer any questions, you are privileged to remain silent. I can make no threats or promises to induce you to make a statement. This must be of your own free will. Any statement can be and will be used against you in a court of law. Knowing these rights that I just read to you, are you willing to talk to me without an attorney?
Are you able to pull cameras so I can find out Suburban?
No. It was a thin, skinny dude, pulled up, and then it was a black dude.
They didn't exit the vehicle though?
I tried, and then it was the most thing about it. It was just that. Because I heard him screaming that way, and that's when I noticed he split up, so.
26. 54. Whatever that is. That's what I thought. So he's immediately going to jail for possession of fake Hey, ma'am. Can I send that to myself?
Yeah, sure. Like, I guess, yeah. That's gonna be because that's the car that pulled off as soon as she started screaming. I think it was them, but I don't know.
Actually,
Before you catch any more charges, what's your real name?
Be right back, y'all.
Do you have your driver's license on you?
Is that middle initial, Mr. Lewis?
Lewis. Date of birth? What's your position here? Can I get a know their 29P, first name, last name, date of birth? Who you're hanging out with?
I already don't even know his name, bro.
No? Where'd you meet him?
On the streets.
With a Suburban?
I think it's
That'd be perfect, huh?
they ain't Suburban. They ain't some bad drive. Some driver. I don't even know his
Same
name.
Louis.
Another.
How much was he gonna give you if you were successful with the money?
I couldn't even answer that for you.
All right, for the moment you be detained, stand up for me. Put the sofa right there. Anything on you? No sudden moves, okay? Anything on you that's gonna pull me, cut me? Yes, no?
No, I got a stem in here and a scraper. In the other pocket.
That's it.
Front pocket. This one.
Right?
Jeans, bro.
Well, you have two pair of pants. So
Yeah, that's
the
what I'm
one,
saying.
the one at the outside is backwards, so
Yeah.
give me a minute. Don't reach for anything.
I'm not reaching for nothing. I'm frustrated because the dude's got me set up with this bullshit.
You already knew it was wrong, though.
Huh?
You already knew it was bad.
Did I already know it was bad?
You already knew it was bad business. Do
You
you,
come in and change the phone number?
do you have a crack pipe or anything?
That's what I just said.
Okay. Do you have any crack on you?
No.
Any fentanyl?
No, I ain't in that, man.
You know how many times I heard that?
I'm telling you.
Okay. I have possession of personality. So. Not in the crack, but has a crack pipe in his pocket.
Look at the papers. That's it, man. I got nothing else.
Oh no.
That's it, man. I got nothing else.
Your RAM is real? Yeah, I'm waiting on it. You call it up? No, not yet. I'm in 3 still. I got it. 13 waiting all the time. All right, come over and see it in my car. It's all right, I understand.
Good help.
Stays right here, this window. What was the plan? Did he tell you?
He just told me to come here and change the phone number. I'll pay you now. Because he wanted to get money, but he worked.
17 male.
All right, stand by. David. Yeah. One more chance. Otherwise, you're gonna catch. I'm telling you, man. You're gonna catch another break, if another charge, if I gotta get the rapid ID. All right. The rapid ID, which I'm gonna run your fingerprints. If you make me work for that, your ID.
My real name and my birthday, no.
All right. What's your social?
Give me the birthday.
12 back.
Call in for rapid. Can't find him?
Give me a social. You try it with a social. Watch it. There with David. He said he's never had a Florida. That's who he was trying to make the account or the check payable to. Or to make it payable to himself. And not the guy he was rolling with. And wait, what? For the ID that he had was for like Ortiz guy, right? I know, but so the guy who was calling earlier to change the phone number on the account, he was a previous customer here. They have it on file. Okay. They were trying to change the phone number on this Ortiz guy's account with his phone number. So he came in here to change the account information, the phone on the account information to this other caller's number. And make a check payable to this David Lewis guy. Hey, Red, do you have a rapid with you? Yeah, can you actually meet us in booking? Okay. I'll meet you over there. Alright. Appreciate you, dog. Did you call out 15 yet? I'm calling it. Alright. What's your call sign? Alpha 12. Alright.
Okay, we're gonna go to a clip from DJ Hemp at This Might Be Risky. Let's get it.
From your first note to your next big thing, your sound is out.
My question is, though, you didn't get married for sex. You got married for the connection.
I did.
Married for the connection that you said was supreme.
I did.
So why'd you give all that up just because he was slinging poor dick to additional women?
Because I wasn't about to wait until my HIV test came back positive.
That's just me. I'm sorry. That's just me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I just can't be. I'm not gonna be. I've never been in a relationship with any man, whether he was, top NBA player or somebody that was, a lawyer or whatever he was, that didn't try to do anything for me financially. That's weird. Like if I'm
Really?
I don't get that.
So how do you feel about a woman on a celibacy journey then? Will be my next
I think that's fucking stupid. If you've been giving your pussy out for 40 years and now all of a sudden you want to hold on to it and get married, that doesn't make sense to me either. Like that's fucking dumb to me.
I ain't mad at her first answer now. Okay, I'm not mad.
She consistent.
I'm just making sure though that your coochie can't be closed, but my wallet can be open. That's all I want to make sure.
I mean, I know women, like, I think a lot of women right now on this journey of being, like, divine feminine and, like, having the right energy. And, like, I feel like a lot of people are on that road right now, right? So they might want to be celibate for a little bit to try to get their stuff together. And that's fine. But just telling the man, I'm not having sex with you until you get married is corny to me because, first of all, I'm not marrying no dick that I ain't touched yet. That's weird.
But should we be spending money on a woman that we're not sexually active with?
You can. I mean,
I'm asking you. Should we? If we're actively dating,
Answer his question.
about a dinner, right? Dinner is fucking nothing. I'll take a homeless person to dinner, right?
Answer
What I'm
his
saying
question.
is, we actively dating. We hitting it a little bit. We staying at the Post Oak and all of that, like and shit like that. Come on, I live here, so we staying at the Post Oak and all of that, and we vibing and we hitting the strip. We acting up. You getting into this park? We don't went to the Galleria. I let you fuck Shanae up and all of that. We acting up.
Right.
Am I getting this coochie, or are you allowed to be withholding this coochie if I'm dropping this bag?
Why would she give you the coochie? She should be getting wet now.
I agree. Listen, you my nigga.
Are you gonna give pussy to a nigga that ain't doing shit for you? Or give pussy to a nigga who's taking care of you?
Hey, bro, chest bump, bro.
Hey, I got a question. Does any woman up here feel differently?
I don't feel differently, but I was asked to wait until marriage before we were intimate. And I obliged because I allowed him to lead.
And how was it?
Did you look at the dick first?
What I will say, because of that experience, I had a greater connection with that man outside of the sex. There was a great connection. I am divorced now, but yes, I did have a greater connection with that man.
Excellent connection.
It was disconnected. It was just not what I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Is that why you divorced?
No. He just wanted to give it out to everybody. He thought it was more than what it was.
He was generous. He was generous with whack dick.
It's whack though, so it's all right. He could have gave it out to everybody else.
His issue was he was one of those men that tried to substitute the lack of, he didn't have it there, but he had it big in his pockets.
Ooh, baby dick, big pockets. Bad combo.
Well, I guess my question is, though, you didn't get married for sex. You got married for the connection. You got married for the connection that you said was supreme.
I did.
So why'd you give all that up just because he was slinging poor dick to additional women?
Because I wasn't about to wait until my HIV test came back positive.
Huh? Stop.
Because I wasn't about to wait for my HIV test to come back
So you
positive.
saying something that wasn't important, you sacrificed everything for that thing that wasn't important.
It was definitely important. I saw it.
You just said, right? You got my brothers laughing at the nigga because you said his dick was Snoop Dogg shit. So now...
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't the size. It was about what he can do with what he had.
He couldn't do that with it.
Yo, but look, take this walk with me. She said baby dick, or Truth said baby dick.
I never said that did not come out of my
corrected
mouth.
myself. Truth said baby dick pause and she laughed. That means she agreed.
I laugh. That doesn't mean that I'm agreeing. I just laugh.
Don't mean you disagree.
Nah, you lying. You're lying, ho.
Big pockets, right? You said that the connection was unreal, unlike anything you ever had before.
It was definitely there.
Why break everything down for sex that you don't care about?
It wasn't just about the sex. The reason why I left, it was a lot of different things that
That's what you
brought
said.
our
I'm
marriage.
off what you told us.
It was a lot of different things that broke our marriage up, but there was a determining factor.
So was the connection really that deep?
It was definitely deep, but once we went to counseling, I determined that he wasn't willing to put forth the effort and the work.
Well, we know
I had
it
to walk
wasn't
away.
deep, but...
Huh?
Well, we know that it wasn't deep, but we get it.
Yeah. Okay, so
any other women feel that way? So y'all all feel like a woman should not be celibate or abstinent until she get married.
If you're already fucked, then what you being celibate for? If you're already fucked before.
No, we.
If you are, yeah.
I'm trying to see who agree with you.
Oh,
I definitely agree. If a man is actually dating you and courting you, and he's spending time is money for me. So why all of a sudden you got kids, you didn't let babies come out, you let all, and all of a sudden this man, and he may be the man for you. Now you're gonna withhold sex based upon what? What's your premise for it?
To get money. If you hold out on sex, because you hold out on sex to make sure.
But relationships and dating is an investment. Why does this man continue to invest in you, but you not invest?
So you believe in investing in your man?
Of course.
Would you
I'm
pay
not
for
gonna
the
ask
first?
a man to do anything for me, to me, or with me that I'm not willing, able, or capable of reciprocating.
Would you pay for the first date or first?
I sure would. I have before. I like her. You go, girl. I have before.
Damn, I don't true. I like her too. I got her on the list.
No
I don't
issues.
think- She got. I think her attitude ain't that good.
No.
I could see it, bro. Like take this walk on me, truth. She been locking niggas up all day. She come home, they nigga. You know what I do with these cuffs? You
But I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not one of those people. I actually, you can ask anybody. I'm one of the probation parole officers. I'm gonna try to help you. I'm not one of them.
I got a question then. I got a question. Me to you, right? Ain't nobody. You ever had a crush on one of them inmates?
Not at all.
Come on, cut the fuck.
I can say that he's attractive, but crossing that line, never.
Man.
I
Liar.
will go to jail.
Ma'am.
It's
Liar.
not worth it.
Let me ask you a question.
I can't do jail.
Let me ask you a question. Are there any men on this panel that you think that is attractive?
Of course.
And so, okay, and I don't even need to know, right? You don't even have to put a title on it, right? You don't even got to put a finger on it, right? I was an MA, and I know all about the POs and the federal counselors, and they giving it up. So that's why I'm trying to figure.
I was a bail bondsman for 15 years. I don't mix business with pleasure. I'm not going to jail. You know, that is a PREA case. You're going straight to the penitentiary.
You was in a marriage with a man with whack dick. That's prison. What do you mean? What do you mean?
They ain't worth a damn.
Hit him land that plane.
Okay, that was a clip from This Might Be Risky. King Harris was arrested in a Pikachu onesie. Shout out to Shays 2.
Hey guys, welcome to Daily News Reaction with Shades 2. Today is Tuesday, you guys, and happy and blessed Tuesday. And today, you guys, I am coming at you with a story about T.I.'s son, King Harris, who was arrested on depossession and obstruction charges. And he later joked about being busted in his Pikachu onesie, which is a hot mess. But anyway, before we start, let me go ahead and do the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. That entire copyright disclaimer is in my description area. Part of it is scrolling across that screen. Guys, if you enjoyed this content today, make sure you thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, share, and leave a comment, and hype this video up. Also, check out my other material here on Shades 2, or check me out on my other two channels, which I will put the links in the comment section, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Don't forget, this is a reaction. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I'll react, and then you guys can leave a comment down below, and I'll follow this up tonight in my Night Owl Live. All right? Anyway, King Harris, the son of T.I. and Tamika Tiny Harris, was arrested over the weekend on several charges, including DRUG possession and obstruction. And get this, you guys, he was busted while he was wearing his Pikachu onesies. Okay, his onesie. Anyway, according to the arrest documents obtained by TMZ, like always, King was arrested during a traffic stop in Atlanta, in Gwinnett County, and the police of Gwinnett County said officers clocked King driving 60 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. So they pulled him over at about 1 a.m. on Saturday, April the 11th. When cops approached his car, they noticed a firearm near his person and ordered him out of the car. However, police said King refused to obey, which he got arrested. Now, authorities also said an officer discovered a vape pen with 10 milligrams of you know what inside. King was ultimately booked on 4 charges. These include a felony charge for possession of a controlled substance, a misdemeanor charge of willfully obstruction of law enforcement officers, and 2 traffic citations for a seatbelt violation and speeding. Now, he did document this over the weekend on his IG account. So when he got pulled over, you guys, King took a selfie of himself in his Pikachu onesie. And then he said, Pikachu got pulled over. They're not catching this Pikachu tonight. All right. I'm sorry for laughing. That's funny. And then 8 hours later, he posted a zoomed in picture of his documents, his arrest documents. Then he captioned that photo, "Welp, yes, you can say they caught the Pikachu with a master ball." Then in the third post, he shared another selfie of him holding up his middle finger. He wrote, "F the police. I'm your wife watch." And then he played Who Shiesties FBO. Okay? All right, let's see here. So he was doing the most, okay? So again, he was arrested on depossession, obstruction charges, and he got some traffic citations, I think, for speeding and and that, okay? So I think he is out on bond or bail.
Be right back.
What do they say on that? Hold on, yes. But he was making jokes about it, so I guess we're not phasing him at all. The serious charge is that charge for the depossession. That's the one that's serious, okay? That's the felony. The rest of that stuff is like, a misdemeanor. Now I don't know what that is in his vape that he had. I can't really say it on here. I may can say the initials THC. I think that's what they call it. Let's see here. I think that's what they call it. That's what it is. Yeah, THC. I don't know what that stands for. So the thing is that's the most serious charge. Okay. Let me see this real quick. My other article, because it tells you more in depth. What happened? Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Let me stop this real quick. Hold on. I don't know what that is on this phone talking. Okay? I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay, let's see here. I think I made a mistake and pulled up something else on my phone. So T.I. Came to pick up her son's car, okay? That's on body cam footage. And I'll show you guys that tonight. And let's see what else they got. I guess he was trying to talk the police out of booking his son, okay? And of course, they still booked him anyway. All right, let's see here.
They got him
Now
on drug
they're saying
possession.
that
Of course they're going to book him.
75 miles per hour in a 45.
They got him on drug possession. Not only that, but they also got him. They could have had him for a GUN charge, but since the GUN was registered, they couldn't charge him for that. So he lucked out on that one.
In a cyber truck. He claimed he did not know he was speeding either. But like I said, he did not get up when the cop asked him to get out that car. So that's obstruction right there. They got his mug shot there too. I'll just put that up on my tonight, okay? So maybe in this thumbnail here so you guys can see it. So the officers did explain to him that they were trying to separate him from the firearm that was allegedly in his car, okay? So the officers asked him a bunch of times to get out, and he refused. So let's see here. So I guess King called his lawyer Okay, so I guess his lawyer told him to get.
Okay, I'm just gonna cut this off here. Basically, King got pulled over. King showed his ass. King got arrested. The end. And thank you to Shay's Tube. Thank you. I'm gonna go into a quick one here. This one here is called Politics Girl. And unfortunately, some people still don't understand why we, the United States of America, went to war with Iran. Here's a quick rundown. Shout out to Politics Girl.
So there's a lot of stories going around about why America attacked Iran. But this government has shown themselves to play fast and loose with the truth, so we need to be careful about what we take as fact. The bottom line is the Trump administration started a war because they wanted to, and now they're trying to figure out a good reason as to why. Trump said the aim of the operation in Iran was to make sure they didn't succeed at getting a nuclear weapon. But this is the same president who said we had destroyed Iran's nuclear capabilities last summer. In fact, it still says on the White House website, Iran's nuclear facilities have been obliterated, and suggestions otherwise are fake news. So what part was fake news? That the weapons were destroyed last June, or that they were close to having them now? We also instigated this attack in the middle of nuclear talks between the two nations, in which, as I understand it, the US was getting everything they wanted. But we bombed them anyway. This seems like a particularly terrible thing for international diplomacy because what country would ever trust the US to negotiate with them in good faith now? And it's also bad for ending this war we just started because there is no reason that the Iranian government would ever trust America's word now. We've heard that America attacked Iran because of terrorism, but we aren't experiencing any terrorism from Iran. We've been told that we did it to support the Iranian people who are protesting their violent government, which honestly would be great if that was true. But the Department of Homeland Security is currently deporting Iranians back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed by that same government. So that argument makes very little sense. Scott Jennings, the conservative turned MAGA pundit, who has shown himself to be a White House propagandist, went on Twitter when no one was believing what the administration was selling to say that senior Trump officials had told him that they had credible intelligence that indicated that Iran planned a preemptive missile strike against U.S. military targets as well as civilian targets, and that any failure to act would have resulted in mass U.S. casualties. I mean, that one was clearly a lie, but it's concerning because it also plants the excuse for why the administration didn't get congressional approval for this war. The fact that it's not true is irrelevant to narrative building. But to me, the most concerning narrative they are trying to build is that we attacked Iran because they interfered in our elections in 2020 and 2024.
Which is a
Now,
lie.
if this administration really cared about election interference, they would be after Russia,
Yeah.
who we know interfered. But it seems far more likely that they care about the perception of election interference, so that they can actually interfere in future elections under the guise of protecting us from evil places like Iran. I think this one is a major problem, because this president is not acting like someone who is trying to win elections. He just got us into an expensive, potentially boots-on-the-ground foreign war without public buy-in, where one day in we'd already lost 4 American soldiers. Our economy is doing terribly. Every American household paid at least $1,200 extra this year because of Trump's tariffs.
Yep.
We are sicker, we are poorer, we are more at risk from foreign adversaries than we were before. And he does this all
No
in
damn
an
lie
election year?
told.
That is not smart, unless you don't think that elections are going to matter. That is the story I think we all should be concerned about.
Exquisite timepieces. Exquisite time.
She told no lies. Thank you to Politics Girl. Let's go to this one here by Chad Sade. Let's get it.
23 living in the state of Florida, specifically Dade County, Broward County. Fuck is you doing without a sun pass? Like, honestly, you want to just vibe in traffic. Vibe. Can take you 15 minutes to get somewhere. You want to chill out for the next 45 minutes sitting in a regular lane for what? It ain't gonna work with me, baby. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna lie. I'm talking about, yo, babe, get over into the express lanes faster. Da-da-da. Nah, like, I ain't finna do all that. Bitch, if you don't drive over them fucking cones and get on.
By now, you may have heard of the tragic story between self-proclaimed soft life divester Ashley Janae and her white fiance, Joe McCain. And the story involves a whirlwind romance, a dream Zanzibar trip, and suddenly a tragic unaliving. Before I cover off this story, I want to first address the elephant in the room. I've covered off a lot of divested disasters. I've covered off a lot of swirling sagas, unfortunately. And one thing that I think is almost never talked about when it comes to, promoting black women dating white men and the soft life era and getting you a little white man to level up your life. One thing that we oftentimes don't talk about is the fact that black women collectively are not acculturated to deal with white men. Black women collectively are not acculturated to deal with white men, and specifically the wealthy white men that they say that they want. And the reason I think that's really important to understand is because let's say you have an attractive black woman. She's fit, she's feminine, she's friendly, she's able to get attention from men of other races, specifically white men. Let's say you have that, and let's just say even for a little bit of time, she's able to put on her sweet divestiture voice, she's able to try to talk a little bit more quietly, she's able to behave in a kind of way that she feels those non-black men are going to appreciate. Let's just say she's able to do that. When she gets angry, when she drops her guard, that attitude starts to show, that neck starts to pop, starts to roll, her finger starts to move, she starts to get in your face. She starts to be who she is, and she starts to talk the way that black women collectively have been acculturated to talk to each other, to black men. Okay? Mm-hmm. She starts to channel that sass. She starts to get real sassy with him. Mm-hmm. White men don't know how to deal with that.
They ain't gonna deal with
it. Specifically about the white men that these women want, because
let it be clear, white men ain't gonna deal with that.
A lot of these black ladies who are they want the soft life, they're wanting the soft life, they desire the soft life. They are desiring white men with the resources, with status. They're desiring the kind of like the MAGA, make America great again. I love America because what America's done for me. They're desiring kind of white men that white women collectively want. The ones with power, influence, money, connections, the business class, corporate class, white collar, the professional class. That's the kind of white men that they're wanting. Those kind of white men with power are not acculturated to having women with sass cuss them out when they get mad. Women with sass put their finger in their face when they get mad. Women with sass threaten them. Women with sass cuss them out, say all kinds of different things about their mama. Those kind of men are not necessarily acculturated to that. So the reason I'm saying that, I just wanted to lay that foundation because we never talk about that. Somehow when we see these soft life things, it's like women feel that just because they look a particular way or just because they're able to, bat their eyes or, look nice in a bikini and maybe even talk in a sweet divestiture voice for a little bit of time and they can get a white man's attention, that's enough. But it's like, no, what happens when you get mad? How do you talk to this man when you're frustrated? And we're not willing to talk about the fact that black men are acculturated. Black men are accustomed to dealing with black women's attitude. White men are not. Black men and black women, they will go back and forth. They will yell at each other. Black men grew up with mamas yelling at them, calling them all kind of N-words, cussing them out, saying all kind of different things. They grew up with that. And so if they experience that from black women, it may be annoying, but it doesn't register to them as like crazy or disrespectful. They're just like, okay, this is just how women are. White men, powerful, influential white men, no. I mean, and again, I'm speaking in generalities. I'm speaking in very generalities. I'm not saying like every white man is like this. Of course, there are white men who are verbally abused, all kind of different stuff. But I'm just talking about like the rich, powerful white men. You think these white men grew up having these rich, powerful white men? There's just a level of decency and respect that they're used to experiencing. There's a level, I feel like, of decency, respect, and reverence that they're used to experiencing that has not been cultivated in the black community collectively. And I think sometimes when we hear these stories where it seems as if a black man and white man, they're getting along so well and it's all beautiful and soft life and he's taking her out to Zanzibar or he's taking her out to Thailand or he's taking her out to to Dubai, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then she just up somehow mysteriously unalived, or she's dismembered, okay, or dude crashes out and stabs her 20 times. I have to wonder, was there staff involved in their last altercation?
Most likely.
I wonder that. I really, really think about that because, like I said, we don't want to talk about the different ways in which we've been acculturated. Y'all got to remember, white folks be growing up in cultures where little Timmy be cussing out his mama. They exist in a culture where Timmy and little Susie will be cussing out their mama, hitting in their parents' face, and the parents will be like, "Okay, what can I do? Well, how can I make Timmy happy? Putting Timmy in therapy." Okay, putting little Miss Susie, trying to get her a bigger room. I'm just saying, it's just a different culture. All I'm saying is that we are acculturated differently. So with that said, I needed to mention that because I wonder how much that plays a role into these stories, and I wonder how much that played a role into this more recent viral story of this young, beautiful, soft life divestor influencer who unfortunately ended up being unalived. I actually think it's tragic. It's really disappointing. It's horrible when you see young, beautiful Black women lose their lives senselessly. And unfortunately, the reason I continue to cover off this trend is because in a sea of propaganda, in a sea of just social media trends, algorithmic trends, and just all of this toxic messaging that continues to lead Black women down the road of fantasy that alleges that by them choosing a white man, specifically an older white man, a rich white man, or in some cases any white man will do, that's going to automatically level up their life, that's going to automatically put them in a better position, that's going to automatically lead to wealth and resources and just money and status and happiness by these messages continuing to go out to young girls year after year, decade after decade. We see the same thing happen. Young, impressionable girls and even young women, and sometimes even older women, fall into a fantasy. They fall into white validation. They look at white men as their savior, and they end up overlooking obvious red flags. At best, it may end up in a breakup. At best, it may end up in, maybe a baby daddy situation or their heart being broken. At worst, they end up on the 10 o'clock news or making headlines because they're no longer alive.
Turn your dreams into reality with our thousands of instruments and accessories, 0% interest payment plans.
Because they're no longer alive. This stuff is serious. This stuff is serious. I'm not fear-mongering and saying that a Black woman getting with a white man or a non-Black man is automatically going to end up her being unalived. No. What I am saying is if we continue to just pretend like these divestor, soft life, swirler fantasies aren't leading young girls down a road of destruction, then we're just not being serious, because it's not about encouraging women to be mindful, to be watchful, to have healthy boundaries, to have standards, to essentially have the same level of scrutiny that they would have if they were to date Black men. It's not encouraging them to do that. It's really just painting this picture that just getting any old white man will do, as long as he's white, he's all right. And that's just not the case. So we have to cover off this example of, influencer Ashley Janae, who was recently found unalived in Tanzania or Zanzibar. She actually made a name for herself being a rather popular social media influencer. She actually considered herself a soft life divestor. Any of you guys who follow me on my channel know that I've covered off the divestor movement. And there's a ton of toxic anti-Black and misandrous messaging that exists under the divestor movement. So unfortunately, this young, beautiful Black woman was deeply connected to a space that is very problematic, and that has led many Black women actually down a road and a path of destruction and unaliving. And so to see this pattern repeat itself when we've seen it especially over the last few years. I mean, it's just sad. And so here it says Ashley Janae, a 31-year-old Miami-based lifestyle influencer, called herself a soft life divester on Instagram, and she was found unalived while on a luxury vacation in Tanzania. The trip was meant to celebrate her 31st birthday and her recent engagement to fiancé Joe McCain, referred to in some posts as John McCain, founder of Asymmetric Financial. According to statements attributed to Tanzanian authorities and shared online by McCain himself, Janae was unalived by hanging. And they said she unalived herself. But the timeline has social media spiraling. Basically, you know, can you say photos from the trip still visible in the tributes across Instagram, and threads show Janae beaming. Radiant, freshly engaged, living what she called her soft life dream at the upscale Several Wildlife Resort, where rooms reportedly run a $9.50 a night. Then days later, she was unalived. Friends and family have taken to Lipstick Alley, Reddit, and Instagram with a unified message: Ash would never unalive herself. One close friend wrote she was radiant with joy, freshly engaged, living her dream. This makes zero sense. But the details get murkier. Some close to Janae claim she was found unalived from a tree, not inside her hotel room as initial reports suggested. Even more alarming, multiple posts allege that McCain waited 2 full days before notifying authorities or contacting her family. 2 days, one Lipstick Alley user wrote. Make it make sense. Foul play or unaliving. Online speculation has exploded. Some commenters on Reddit and threads have gone further, accusing McCain of strangling Janae and staging the scene to look like an unaliving. Others point to the convenient timing, right after a proposal and birthday celebration, as deeply suspicious. A woman who just got engaged does not hang herself days later, reads a viral Instagram comment. Something is wrong here. As of April 12th, 2026, Tanzanian authorities are handling the case. Reports conflict on whether McCain has been arrested or detained. Some friends claim he is in custody, but official confirmation remains limited due to the international jurisdiction. Autopsy and toxicology results have not been made public. Meanwhile, across Lipstick Alley, Reddit, X, Threads, Instagram, the calls are growing louder. Investigate fully. Don't accept the unaliving narrative and find out what really happened to Ashley Janae. Her Instagram account has been flooded with tributes, rest in peace, mixed with furious demands for justice. Her family is pleading for answers. This is a developing story with many unconfirmed details. But one thing is clear, the woman in those engagement photos smiling under the African sun deserved better than a rushed narrative and a 2-day delay. This story is developing. So there you have it. Another young, beautiful Black woman who was living her soft life dream, allegedly found unalived by hanging herself. That is the claim. Now, as we can see, literally makes no sense. Nobody celebrates their 31st birthday, just gets engaged, is on a dream trip, and then decides to unalive themselves. Like, there's a lot of different missing pieces, a lot of things that we don't know, and it doesn't make any sense. I wish I could say that this was shocking. I wish that I could say that this is something I would never expect. And I have an entire playlist dedicated to this particular topic, because it's really disturbing for me to see Black women continue to lose their lives senselessly, put in vulnerable positions, and sometimes unalived, because they were drawn away by this whole swirler saga, by this whole swirler fantasy. And you know, if you start to look at just some of the different social media conversations you've had, different followers call out how people were joking in the comments, and some people were not even joking in the comments that you know, her fiance was going to unalive her. They were saying that. You had some examples of her saying some rather disparaging and disrespectful things about Black men, which is also not uncommon. And I mean, you know, at a certain point, it just feels like watch, rinse, repeat. How many stories have we seen within the last year, within the last 2 years, in the last 5 years. I mean, I've lost count of the amount of stories that I've seen just in the last 5 years of Black women who have ended up senselessly unalived, senselessly, found dismembered, found just unconscious. I've literally lost count. And unfortunately, most of those cases end up being unsolved. We had one of the more recent ones with Sade Robinson, where at least there was some sense of justice. I mean, the crime was so heinous and to a certain extent so obvious that at least there was some sense of justice and closure, but they still never found her head. They never found her crown. And, her case is more rare. There are so many cases of Black women who end up unalived, who end up, just senselessly, randomly, these like mysterious unalivings. And unfortunately, there's many of these cases that end up being unsolved. Think of Lawrence Fields, another situation where she ended up unalived. The last person to see her was a white man who she met on a Bumble date. To my understanding, she was in his bedroom, literally in his room. And to this day, he's never been prosecuted. To this day, I don't think he ever served a day in jail. They never prosecuted anyone. Prime popular example. So I'm just saying this because how many Black women are going to have to lose their lives?
Y'all Black women need one.
The very toxic and the very.
We've been a Web Plus member for years now. If you're a business owner, you've got to pay attention to the details, and that comes.
The very toxic narrative and the very toxic messaging that is going out about Black women and white men. I do not know how many Black women have lost their lives until we start to question the very toxic messaging that is going out about Black women and white men. I am not saying that interracial relationships are inherently bad. What I am saying is that the narratives around interracial relationships, especially as it relates to Black women and white men, is incredibly toxic. When we start to see Black women tote white men as trophies, when we start to see Black women promote white men as essentially their ticket out of Blackistan, their ticket out of their own struggle life, and they see white men as their way of leveling them up into luxury, into fantasy, into essentially the kind of lifestyle that ultimately only retirees live. Because let it be clear, a lot of these soft life influencers, they are promoting lifestyles that people experience like 60 plus, like the kind of lifestyles that people experience after they worked their entire life, have made some good investments, have built wealth, and their life retired. Or the exception of that is like a trust fund baby, but like a very small percentage of people. So they're promoting a lifestyle that very few people ever experience. And if they do experience, it's usually not until they're much older. And so I'm just saying that because there's all this push to promote ideas and lifestyles that are, one, incredibly rare to come by, and then two, even if you do come by it, it's something that usually happens after years of working together and building and strategizing and going through different sacrifices. And it is just so much fantasy. It's so much fantasy, and it's never good, because anytime you are using somebody, even if it's a man, even if it's whiteness, if you're using him, in my opinion, if you're using that person to escape something that's going on in your own life, and if your reason for dating a white man is to escape your own Black reality, never going.
And I want to say this too. You can't escape reality no matter how damn hard you try. It will never work.
Going to lead to anything good. Anyways, what do you guys think about this whole thing?
We're at the end? Okay.
Let me know your thoughts.
And the thing is, I didn't know that was the end of it. When you sit there trying to escape reality, the only thing you're going to do is go deeper and deeper down into the rabbit hole. It's not going to serve you or the people around you. So with that being said, learn to accept reality for what it is. Even if it's a harsh one, you have the power to change your reality. With that being said, I thank y'all for being here. For the ones that ain't here, catch me on a replay. Have a good day. I'll see y'all later. Peace.